Please be advised, if you have not seen the movie that is about to be reviewed in this video, stop this video right now, go and watch the movie and then come back, because there are going to be massive plot spoilers throughout the course of this video. Hello once again everyone, and welcome to my little slice of heaven that I call the Video Vault. We've got a really good one for you this time around. Well, I think it's a really good one. Anyway, I am a fan of professional wrestling. I started watching in the 90s, and yeah, I'm nearly 40 and I still watch. I get a lot of entertainment out of it. You know, when it's done right, the stories are good. When it's done right, you know, when the performers just portraying themselves absolutely incredibly, everything is just absolutely wonderful. Great storytelling, great action, great characters. It's, you know, it's a live movie, I find anyway. So speaking of wrestling, we are going to be looking at 2019. So this one came out last year. The Fighting With My Family, which is actually based off of a 2012 documentary from the UK called The Wrestlers Fighting With My Family, which is all about WWE diva superstar Paige. Now, there are some timeline inconsistencies in this movie. Like, for a start, where, you know, we're in 2005, Zach is watching the King of the Ring from, I think it's around about 2000, when Triple H and The Rock were having that really storied, really awesome rivalry. The Rock wins the belt, and Zach, he's holding up a cardboard version of the spinner belt. Now, when not quite sure the time frame of when he's watching this, but if this is before John Cena won the spinner belt, or won the championship and then converted it into the spinner belt after WrestleMania, if this is taking place, if he's watching this offhand before WrestleMania, then the spinner belt did not exist. It did not exist. And at that same time as well, they're still using the scratch logo. This has got the new sort of smooth WWE logo on it. So a couple of inconsistencies there right off the bat already, but still, we're basically getting introduced to Paige's whole family. They're all, we all know the history. They're all, the whole family of wrestlers. They're all wrestlers. The father even runs the World Association of Wrestling Promotion, which is actually a real thing. So all this is just, it's based off a true story. It pretty much shows Paige building up to getting, you know, selected by the WWE. We start off, you know, they're working the small independent house shows and all that, and eventually, you know, they get the phone call like, hey, you know, you've been invited to come down. We're going to be in London, and we're, you know, going to bring you down for a tryout at the O2 Arena. Quick pause there. So when they get there, they've got the SmackDown Live set. No. That is completely and utterly wrong, because in I'm just trying to remember when, I think in 2012, WrestleMania was not SmackDown was not live. SmackDown was still being recorded. They just had the HD set. As I said, I'm a wrestling fan. I'm going to pick apart some of these inconsistencies. But we have we have one of a few cameos by The Rock, who's actually also a producer of this movie, and I'll get to a very fun little tidbit later on involving The Rock and actually the filming of, you know, one of the scenes in this movie in general. I think some of you may already know which one I'm talking about. So they have the tryout, and the only one that is selected is Paige. Now she tries her hardest to get her brother Zach in there as well. It's trying to convince the coaches, portrayed very, very well by Vince Vaughn, to take him too. And he's just like, no, look, there's a reason as to why, but he doesn't go into it just yet as to why he hasn't selected the brother. He's only selected Paige. So we make our way to Orlando, Florida. And another inconsistency here. They show the WWE Performance Center. That had not been built yet. The WWE Performance Center did not open until 2017, I think. Just let me get the old Google machine out, because I am pretty sure that the WWE did not open its Performance Center until 2014-2015. It was founded in 2013, but it did not open until... When did it open? Sorry, I'm just looking up my... No, okay, maybe. 2013, but at that time when Paige would have been over there doing a tryout, that would have been, still FCW. At that time, what we know as NXT was almost starting to get off the ground. So that's a little bit of an inconsistency there, because the Performance Center, wasn't a thing then. Obviously it is now. But, Vince Vaughn puts them through a bunch of very, very rigorous exercises. And at the end of it, if you felt like you couldn't continue on anymore, you had the old bicycle horn, and if you wanted to tap out, you just squeeze that, or you were cut, basically. Paige goes through all the trials and tribulations and is kind of mocked because she didn't fit the model-esque, the way that WWE went after their female talent at the time. They would after the swimwear models, not the actual wrestlers. So that sort of put Paige on a little bit of the outside, because she's actually grown up in professional wrestling, and is ahead of the swimwear models. So just trying to make a name in another area, I guess. So we go back to Norwich for Christmas time. She's debating whether not to leave or stay. I think at this point she's pretty much decided she's going to quit, but ends up getting talked into staying by her family. And this is when she had the spray tan, the blonde hair, trying to look like the model, trying to look what she thinks WWE wants. And when she goes back, she's back to her normal, dark-haired, pale self, which is what got a lot of people over in the end. And she ends up, making this rapport with the other female talent that is there in FCW/NXT. And then we have a jump to WrestleMania 30, which is where we have, she's taken away this big room, and once again, here is The Rock. And I will say this scene is quite funny. So she's being told, you're getting called up to the main roster. You're going to debut the night after WrestleMania, which did happen. She did debut the night after WrestleMania. The Rock rings the family up, and the dad, who is very well portrayed by Nick Frost, he doesn't believe it. He doesn't believe it's The Rock. He thinks it's someone having a rib. Someone, pulling his leg. He's like, yeah, sure you are, pal, whatever, click. And it's like, no, hang on, it's really The Rock. It's like, wow, okay, Rock, this is... they get the news that Paige is getting called up to the main roster. Now, obviously with the movie, there's going to be time constraints, so there's a lot that gets put to the side, including her entire NXT run, including the part where she becomes the first ever NXT Women's Champion. That's right, an important part of the Paige story. And they blindside it, I guess. It doesn't even get mentioned that she is the NXT Women's Champion. So, a little confusing, but okay. Again, movie, they've only got, time restraints and can only do so much. And of course, we all know what happens next. Paige makes her debut on Raw the night after WrestleMania against AJ Lee, or in the sake of the movie, it is Zelina Vega dressed like Zelina Vega. If they wanted to try to get some stuff right, they should have had Zelina Vega actually dressed the same as what AJ Lee was, and two, even Paige's costume is completely and utterly wrong. Again, I'm going to be nitpicking a little bit here. But they portrayed it pretty well. Like, I watched that match when, when it happened. I think I saw the match on YouTube. No, I was actually watching Raw when they had that. I think it was like 10 o'clock in the morning or something here in Australia, and I was actually watching that. And I thought it was cool. I thought it was great. It's a great way to bring in this young talent who's already a 10-year veteran because she'd been working for so long, ever since she was a little kid, since 13 years old or whatever. And, to be given this opportunity and to actually win the title in her debut match on Raw is a really, really cool thing. But of course, then, she then had to relinquish the NXT Women's title, which I think was then won by Asuka in a tournament, I believe. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comment section below. Let me know. And we just get the rundown of what everyone is doing today. The Knight family is still running their wrestling promotion. The son, Zach, is one of the head trainers. We see him training a lot of wrestlers throughout the course of this movie, including one that's blind. I thought it was really, really cool, and the fact that they actually did become a professional wrestler is absolutely incredible. We have the usual run-ins with drugs and alcohol and all of that, but still, it's a great movie. I think Vince Vaughn is does an incredible performance in this movie as the coach, where he's trying to say to Paige, after they've done all the stuff at the beach, he's giving the reason as to why they didn't choose her brother, because he was, a journeyman, and who would end up, putting himself through rather stupid risks and end up having a really bad career-ending injury, which is what happened to Vince Vaughn's character. He was, thrown off the top of a cage and separated his shoulder, tore his rotor cuff, and that was pretty much it. And it was The Rock that was the one that did it. Oh dear. This is all fictitious, of course, this part. But yeah, fighting with my family, it doesn't matter if you're a wrestling fan, or if you're not, if you like, an intriguing story, then I strongly recommend this movie, because it shows a lot of the shortcomings that sometimes people go through when they're trying to be accepted by other people. They change themselves. They become something that they're not, but then eventually they revert back to who they actually are. And it just works and blossoms there. You go from being completely and utterly fake, when you go back to your true self, that's when you take off, because there's a lot of people that can see straight through BS. They see straight through BS. And, this movie tells that. We've got, other hardships with some of the family as well, like the brother Zach. His girlfriend gets pregnant. He doubts himself whether he's going to be a good father, because he still wants to be this professional wrestler and live his dream, and accepts, even though, yes, it's not going to happen, I can still have this life I can still be happy in. It kind of takes him getting his ass kicked in a bar fight to sort of realize that. And, we all know what happened with Paige. She went on to have a good run in WWE. It could have been longer if not, some serious injuries ended up forcing her to retire. But who knows? We've seen the likes of Daniel Bryan and Edge come back from career-ending injuries, so you never know. Anything is possible. But one of the scenes I was talking about before with The Rock is when they filmed, the climax. Paige making her Raw debut and winning the belt off of AJ Lee, or again Selena Vega, dressed like Selena Vega. So that actually happened after an episode of Raw went off the air. They have what's known as a dark match, either before or after, to leave the fans happy. And what they did with this segment is, the whole crowd that was there for Raw, they got to do they shot the scene. So it's 17,000 extras, all basically being told, by The Rock, who came out, this is what we're doing, you've got to make as much noise as possible. And as usual at this time, all the fans are still hot for CM Punk. They're wanting him to come back. They're sick of the way everything had come, so they started chanting Punk's name. And The Rock, being The Rock, just says, you know what? Let's call him. So literally, someone is filming this. Someone in the stands is filming this, and he actually rings CM Punk, who unfortunately does not answer, because at the time he was in this is where my tongue stops working. He was in an elevator. I swear I know how to speak. I've been rambling on for about 18 minutes already. And Punk, obviously didn't get the call. He's in an elevator. There's cell service in there is next to none, really. And just imagine the reaction if he had have picked up. But anyway, I thought that was really, really cool. The whole experience in watching Fighting with my family is just, it's incredible. As I said, even if you are a fan of professional wrestling or you're not, even if you're you're curious about it, have never, only seen little bits and pieces here and there, or you like my buddy Nims, who's a huge wrestling fan. He absolutely loves it to death, and you're gonna love this movie. I mean, it's a strong recommendation from me. But anyway, that's my thoughts on Fighting with My Family. We're going to be going into a Another WWE style movie, this one actually now coming from the WWE studios. It is the first of 3, and that is 12 rounds. Now, they did 3 movies in the 12 round series. The first was with John Cena, then we had Randy Orton. An interesting fact in that, 12 rounds 2 was originally meant to star CM Punk, but because obviously of scheduling conflicts, he couldn't, take the time off to do it, so they replaced him with Randy Orton. There's a little bit of bitterness there about it, the way they actually went about it, because they didn't call him and say, look, we're going to go with our second choice. It's just Randy Orton is going to 12 rounds 2. He's like, what the hell? Listen to his podcast with Colt Cabana. I'm sure it's on YouTube. And 12 rounds 3, which probably really could have just been called Lockdown. And that one starred Dean Ambrose, or John Moxley, I should say now. And I'll get into why I think they should only have just been called Lockdown when I get to that review. But anyway, thanks so much for checking out this video. Here comes the tail, and I will see you all when I see you. Bye. Also, don't forget, podcast is down. Links to the podcast are in the description. Bye. Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out the video. If you like what you see, click that subscribe button. Make sure you dangle that notification cowbell. You can hit me up on all of my social medias, which will be down in the description box below. And I shall see you all next time around.